Get ready because you and I are about to see me wake up as a billionaire villain, a high society big shot. I looked at the driver, Lai Jun, and a green status text showing 90 loyalty floated over his head. Great, someone reliable. Pay close attention here. I headed straight to my Rolls-Royce, and the moment I sat down, I spoke seriously to my assistant, Lee Jun. She was terrified that if she did not speak up right now, this golden opportunity would slip right through her fingers. Hearing this, he smirked mockingly. Well, at least you admit it. You are better than other gold diggers. You want to be with me? No problem, but I have 3 rules. Accept them all, and we can leave this place right now. First, from today on, you cannot get close to any other man. And I do not just mean having a boyfriend. Even best friends or so-called soulmates are strictly off limits. Second, I will never marry you, nor are you my only one. Third, from now on, only I will contact you. You cannot call me on your own. My point is super simple, that is it. He laid it all out clearly, dropping all his demands at once. But if you play along with me for a while, you will not lose out. I will not be stingy with money. You can freely choose whatever you want to eat, wear, and buy. Even if we break up later, I will give you a massive payout. Enough for you to live comfortably for a very long time. If you do not believe me, go ask your friend Q. Xiaoman. Ask her since she was with me too. Keep 2 men stationed at the hospital to watch over Shiji. I do not want him causing any more trouble. I know what you are thinking about this setup. Dong Yuing was stunned, realizing nobody would just brag about an arrangement like this. You have 2 minutes to think it over. After that, I expect your final answer. Will you look down on me? Dong Yuing bit her lip, hesitating. Deep down, she knew exactly how low she was stooping. She felt cheap and shameless, but his reply completely shocked her. No people live to seek comfort. There is nothing wrong with wanting that. Public gossip is just the whining of people who do not know their place. You are different. You are beautiful, with a great body. You have the weapons to choose a much better life. Why would I despise you? Hearing this, Dong Yuing almost thought she had misheard him. It was her first time hearing someone talk about being a mistress so naturally, as if it were not shameful at all. Do you think I need to sweet-talk you to get what I want? He smirked. Flattering women is a game for idols. I, Chinton, have never wasted my time on such nonsense. Look into the kid he attacked and find out everything about Tang. Li. Jun hesitated for a split second before nodding instantly. About 20 minutes later, he paid the bill and stood up to leave. Once outside, Dong Yuing quietly grabbed his arm, finding no reason to refuse. Director Qin, where are we going now? Hearing her, he simply gave a playful smirk. First we buy clothes. What you are wearing is fine, but to stand by my side, fine is not enough. At those words, Dong Yuing's heart skipped a beat. So this is what it felt like to be with a true high society tycoon. Just one word from him, and he would swipe his card. No wonder so many girls prefer this over suffering with someone poor. She vividly recalled when Huang Hao took her out for spicy noodles, always hunting for street stalls costing under 10 yuan. A wave of deep bitterness suddenly washed over Dong Yuing's heart. Suddenly, a sharp shout snapped her back to reality. Right after 2 figures came running around the corner. But before they could get close, his 2 towering bodyguards dressed in black completely blocked their path. Dong Yuing stared in shock. Wang? How? What are you doing here? You ask me that, Dong Yuing. I completely misjudged you. Understood. President Ed, Chin, I am on it. Saying this, he pulled out his phone and immediately started making urgent calls. Wang Hao glared at him with absolute fury, spitting out incredibly sharp and painful words. Beside him, Fat Chen stared at the luxury car in awe. You broke up with me this morning and you are already with someone else. Turns out you are not so innocent, are you? Dong Yuing was so furious she wanted to scream, but she held back to properly explain the entire situation to him. But before she could speak, Qin raised a hand to stop her. You have 5 minutes? After saying that, he did not even look at them. Escorted by his guards, he climbed into his luxury car. And trust me, you and I would be just as stunned as Wang Hao. Let's dive into this juicy drama where they show up to expose Dong Ying and completely humiliate her. But he didn't even blink or bother to respond. Wang Hao, shouldn't you be home taking care of your mother? Why are you sticking your nose into business that isn't yours? Seeing him already in the car, Deng Yuting took her chance, making Wang Hao absolutely explode with fury. As he handled that, an icy, robotic voice suddenly echoed inside my head. Deng Yuting, if you dated someone else after we broke up, fine. But this is crossing the line. We haven't even officially broken up and you're already sleeping around. Is that something to be proud of? You were never like this before, Wang Hao muttered, with disappointment softening his voice a little. You know how it is. Rich guys always have women. He treats you well now, but what about tomorrow? One day he'll kick you to the curb. What are you bragging about? Even if he leaves me, it's still 1,000 times better than wasting my precious time with you. Deng Yuting finally couldn't hold back anymore, cutting Wang Hao off without any hesitation. Can you stop deluding yourself? Shikin is handsome and a millionaire. So, what's wrong with being with him? Even if he dumps me later, it's my choice. It beats living with you and never having a decent dinner. Fine, I'll transfer it to you right now, she muttered, immediately whipping out her phone. With a single tap, she instantly sent 20,000 yuan directly to Wang Hao's account. System message. Successfully stopped the troublemaking son. Turning point unlocked, you have received 100 villain points. Now pay close attention to this. She flaunted the transfer screen, declaring it was his breakup payoff. She pointed right at him, making herself crystal clear. She was paying him off to get lost. They were totally done, and that was that. Without a single backward glance, she turned and walked straight toward her supercar. But right at that moment, a system notification chimed in his mind. The host had successfully stolen the protagonist's ex-girlfriend. The storyline has officially started to shift, rewarding him with 300 villain points. These villain points could upgrade his skills immediately. Do it now. Not yet. He only wanted to use Dong Yuting to settle things with Tang. He never expected to score such a massive reward so easily. It was obvious Wang Hao was Dong Yuting's ex, but the system specifically said he stole the protagonist's ex-girlfriend, which means Wang Hao is actually the true protagonist of this story. So, I'm just the typical rich second-generation heir destined to be crushed. System, scan his stats for me. The female lead, Tang, now views you less negatively, slightly altering the current timeline of this world. As Dong Yuting walked over, I quickly scanned Wang Hao. Scan complete. Name Wang Hao. Fortune, value 72. The target's luck is rising fast, making his full system value impossible to measure accurately. Seeing those 72 fortune points, I thought my eyes were playing tricks on me until I read the text below. You saw that too, right? This guy actually bound a cheat system. His destiny hasn't fully awakened, meaning His counterattack hasn't started. But get this world has more than one protagonist. I smirked. Even though I only scored a few villain points this time, I gained an incredibly valuable new lead. Sorry to keep you waiting so long, Shikin. I glanced at Wang Hao, who stood there completely frozen, but I didn't care. I told Li Jun to start the car. Was that guy your boyfriend? Oh, Shikin, we only had dinner a few times and caught a movie. Maybe we held hands once. Dong Yuting nervously stammered. He laughed softly. Don't worry, I was only curious. You gained 300 villain points and restored 10 luck points. What on earth? Just talking is getting me points. Even if something did happen, I wouldn't care. Come on, let's go buy you some new clothes first. Dong Yuting nodded quickly. A broke protagonist like Wang Hao is way easier to handle than some dark almighty overlord. You're not even close to Xian's level. Did you speak with Qinong yet? While he rested with closed eyes, Dong Yuting secretly texted her best friend. How did you know Qi Xiaoman panicked? Don't worry about how I know. Just tell me how much he paid you to break up. Fine, but keep quiet. If you speak a word, we're done. I swear I won't tell a soul. It was 1 million. Besides giving me tons of breakup gifts, he straight up threw 1 million yuan at me. Seeing that 1 million Dong Yuting completely froze. She never imagined the wealthy could be this insanely generous. On her current salary, she would have to work 15 straight years without spending a single penny. That's where we leave her, quickly hiding her phone after texting Qi Xiaoman. Curious, I opened my attribute panel. My luck jumped by 10 points, but the rest of my stats were still embarrassingly low. She had to keep her rich sponsor happy first. By the way, how do you know? Tang He asked from the back. All right, get ready, because Dong Yu King quickly explains they are from the same town and dated a few times. What do you do now? And what is your exact relationship with Chu Xiaoman? I am just a street vendor running a small business here. Xiaoman and I were college classmates and always remained close. Watch closely now, Dong Yuqing answered with absolute honesty, giving a slight nod. He asked nothing else because, logically, once the main character gains power, the ex-girlfriend is just a stepping stone. This meant that this pawn Dong Yu King would not only be useful against Lian Fing, but also drag the second lead into the abyss. Let us watch how this ends. System, can I increase these stats? The voice replied with its usual flat monotone sound. According to the original plot, this loyal man died taking a bullet just to save my life. Luck can only be stolen from the protagonist. If your stats double your targets, you can crush them directly. I see. What about physical strength or charisma? You may spend villain points to redeem upgrades in the shop. My eyes lit up instantly. I quickly pulled up the interface and started browsing through all the available options. Spiritual, plant 500 points. Energy pill 1,000 points. These were legendary, top-tier treasures with insanely high price tags. For now, I decided to hold off on buying. Admit it, you and I both know that saving 1,000 points for the lucky draw is a much better move. President Qin, we are still digging into that boy, but we have gathered everything on young Miss Tang's background. As evening fell inside a quiet mountain mansion, Li Jun handed me a folder packed with confidential documents. I quickly scanned the pages and grinned. It is honestly amazing how fast things move when you have endless wealth. Tang Shuer was just a simple intern doctor with a very straightforward past. Outside the car, 4 black-suited bodyguards stood waiting with menacing glares. Passers-by turned their heads to whisper to one another. I ordered this at noon, and they solved it in 3 hours. I nodded quietly. It had to be him. Is there something wrong with her? Sir Jun asked, looking confused. It is nothing you would not understand anyway. I waved my hand, dismissing him. Go get some rest. I will call if I need you. Lie. June bowed and left. Left alone, I leaned back on the sofa, murmuring to myself that she was indeed one of the female leads. After all, in these urban fantasy novels, the beautiful heroines never show up alone. The files revealed that her family practiced traditional medicine, and her grandfather was highly respected in the city. With this, I was certain the male lead would be that cliché miracle doctor from the mountains. The classic trope where he travels to the city to find relatives, break an engagement, and save a gorgeous woman. No wonder the system gifted me that poison mastery skill. It was preparing me to face a legendary medical genius. This is getting very interesting, I thought with a satisfied smirk. That is the president of the Chin Group. He looks way more imposing than on TV. They say his son got beaten up. Just changing her mind got me 300 points. If I take down the protagonist too, the rewards will be massive. Meanwhile, Tang left the hospital completely exhausted after her grueling shift. Quickly, boy, get some water boiling. Our little Shuer will be home any minute. Inside the family clinic, old Dr. Tang Dexon waited in his worn chair. Tang Shuer had just parked her car when she heard her grandfather shouting an unusually warm greeting from inside. Why was her grandfather so cheerful today? Who could the guest be? She walked slowly to peek inside. The voices were clear. Do not worry, sir, I am in no rush. And trust me, the best is yet to come. Come along with me to discover this story. That lazy, strangely familiar voice made Tangu's heart stop in its tracks. She rushed inside and saw 2 people in the room. One was Tang Dexian, the famous traditional medicine doctor. On the other side, a casually dressed young man lounged effortlessly on an old wooden chair with his hands behind his head. My little Shu, you're back. Come here quickly. He must be here to see him. Expressionless. I walked toward the VIP room, under everyone's stunned and admiring gazes. Let Granddad introduce you to a friend, Lin Fang. But before he finished, their eyes met. It is you again. Hello, little sister. We really are destined to meet. Tangu's face filled with absolute shock and utter disgust. However, Lin Fang smiled with complete indifference. Tang Dexian looked back and forth entirely confused. Do you two already know each other? Tang Shu quickly grabbed her purse and dragged her grandfather to a corner. Grandfather, why is he here? She completely ignored the introduction, never taking her eyes off the relaxed young man. The old man did not understand. Young Lin is the son of an old benefactor of mine. He came down the mountain for some business and will stay with us a few days. Is something wrong? Wrong. Everything is wrong. Tangu wasted no time on long explanations and detailed exactly what happened this morning from start to finish. What did that really happen? Tang Dexian's beard trembled with pure anger. That brat dared to break the leg of the Qin family's young heir. He is too reckless. I saw it with my own eyes. The second I approached the hospital room door, I heard some absolutely horrific screeching coming from inside. If you do not believe me, ask him. Tangu pointed toward the couch. The old Mei turned trembling as he looked at Lin Fang. The man did not even flinch and spoke calmly. No need to ask, I heard everything. That is right. I broke Chinshu's leg. What are we supposed to do now? Tang Dexian's legs grew weak and he nearly fainted. Young Lin, you must not mess with the Qin family. I fear I cannot protect you, so perhaps you should leave first. Find a place to hide for a while. Lin Feng let out a soft chuckle. Old man, you are worrying too much. He is just a rich kid who only knows how to party. A useless heir, that is all. No matter how powerful the Qin family is, they cannot touch a single hair on my head. If they seek trouble, I won't let you get dragged in. The message behind his words was crystal clear. For him, the influential Qin family was not even worth mentioning. This time, he came down the mountain mainly to search for his childhood fiancée to whom he was betrothed. How could he run with his tail between his legs over something so trivial? Hearing this, Tangu's heart began to race. It hurts like hell. I will have my dad fire your entire family. Don't you know who my father is? She still had no idea about Lin Feng's true power. All she knew was that he had caused this absolute chaos. Now, pay attention here. If the Qin family followed the trail, the Tang family would pay the price first. Meanwhile, I stood in the grand hall of Yishan Mansion. I couldn't help but sigh. Such a massive house, and I am the only one living here. It feels like a tomb. While lost in thought, my phone suddenly rang. Mr. Qin. It was Lei Jun's voice on the other end. We found the guy who hurt the young master. Xiao Lu saw him with his own eyes. He is at Tang Dexian's traditional medicine clinic, chatting happily with the old man. Their relationship is definitely not simple. I see, I said calmly. Should I have Xiao call some men to catch that bastard right now? Lei Jun suggested coldly. No, absolutely not. I stopped him immediately. That guy defeated our bodyguard, so he is no ordinary person. Think about it. With me, sending more men is just useless against a guy like that. No matter how many people you bring, it will be a waste of effort. Report him to the police immediately. Qin Tian rules this entire damn city, and everyone answers to him. Yet you still dared to touch a single hair on my head. To the police, Lei Jun stood there completely stunned. Yes, exactly. Report it to the police, I replied with absolute calm. We are law-abiding citizens. Someone broke my son's leg. What is wrong with making a formal report? Understood, sir. He hung up and went to fulfill the order. Elsewhere, Chief Jiang Jun received the new news and instantly went on high alert. With no time to lose, he immediately gathered his team. Chief, what happened? The officer on duty, Lu Ruoxi, wearing her immaculate uniform, radiated a cold and imposing presence. Seeing her superior's serious expression, she quickly focused. It is serious, very serious, Jiang Jun replied hastily. You know Qin An from the Qin Corporation, right? Of course, the model entrepreneur. He is always in the news. Who doesn't know him exactly? His son's leg was broken this morning, and we already have a suspect. I need you to lead a team to bring him in. What did that happen? I guarantee I will fulfill this mission. After speaking, Lu Ruoxi gathered her files and organized her staff. One group immediately began checking the security cameras. You will never work again. Now pay attention, because hearing this idiot whine from outside gave me a massive headache. The rest are with me to the Tang Clinic. Let's wait together and see what unfolds next at the villa. All right, you and I are about to watch a strange voice announce our main character completely ruined a 6 million script. He recovered 30 luck points and gained 800 villain points. The system detected he reached the required limit. Do you want to activate the system lottery? silently thought that I really wanted a skill. Draw completed successfully. Congratulations, user. You received a portion of internal energy. Seeing this, I froze completely. Can people seriously still cultivate internal energy these days? The system gave a silent nod. The main character uses it to heal the severely injured. He completely depends on this to keep breathing. That guy really has some unfair advantages. After thinking for a second, I mentally accepted. Receive. Suddenly, warmth surged from my dantian. It instantly spread through my body. Acquisition successful. Internal strength acquired. Physique plus 20, essence plus 5, and vitality plus 30. I clenched my fist, feeling my muscles. A true expert in bringing down his own father. I pushed the door wide open and stepped inside with absolute authority. My power did not just increase a little. I felt as if my stats were completely renewed. This is fantastic. Though it cost 1,000 points, this massive upgrade was totally worth it. At least I am no longer a useless weakling. All right, I still have my own matters to settle. Suddenly remembering the main mission, I reached out and called through the intercom. Old Fang, come here for a moment. Butler Fang, who was over 50, still moved with an impressively agile pace. He usually stayed in the small courtyard house taking care of absolutely all the daily affairs of the massive mansion. Young master, what are your orders? In less than 2 minutes, Butler Fang was already standing right there. I stared at the 91% loyalty floating over his head. Excellent, a faithful servant who served my family for 2 generations. After confirming that everything was in order, I took a pen and wrote a full list. Get all these items as soon as possible, do not waste time. The butler took it and turned pale as he read. 2 bags of silver needles, venomous centipedes, lethal scorpions, and powdered snake fangs. But before I could even enjoy this luxury, the damn villain system threw cold water on me by analyzing my grim destiny. Kinechi's face completely changed the second he saw me. Tears and snot running down, he wailed, "Dad, you must get revenge. Young master, the needles are no problem, but the rest are highly dangerous substances. Do not ask questions, I know what I am doing." "Understood, sir. I will get right to work." The butler bowed and took his leave. I leaned back on the sofa. Those ingredients would terrify anyone, but they are absolutely essential for me. I looked at the brightly lit luxury mansion. Now that I finished my tasks, an unbearable boredom washed over me. Maybe I should look for some fun. Meanwhile, pay close attention because police lights are already flashing outside the Tang residence. Lin Fang had just finished a nice dinner and was heading down for a brief walk to help his digestion. At that moment, Officer Liu Ruoqi stepped out of her cruiser. His eyes sparkled, but she noticed his gaze and frowned. He looked exactly like the photo. She marched straight toward him, flanked by 2 officers. "Are you Lin Fang? Are you asking me, beautiful officer, who else do you see anyone else here?" That arrogant tone really irritated Liu Ruoqi. She had no idea this was the typical hero introduction scene. "I am Lin Fang, is something wrong?" "Officer, that damn peasant broke my leg. I want to rip him to shreds for what he did. We have a complaint against you for intentional bodily harm. Accompany us to the station for questioning." The guy froze completely. "What?" Before he could even protest, both officers cornered him from the sides. "Wait a minute. officers. Is this a misunderstanding?" He instantly sensed that things were going terribly wrong. His face was filled with sheer shock. "Are you stupid? Do you not know what you did? You are coming with us right now." Liu Ruoki left him absolutely no room for excuses. As soon as she finished speaking, she lunged to pin and handcuff him. "I know what you are thinking. And yes, this gorgeous officer was supposed to show up much later in the original plot. But now, thanks to Chintion's interference, the entire timeline has spun completely out of control. Lin Fang ran into her way ahead of time before building any real influence or consolidating his massive reputation, with absolutely nobody backing him up. His usual arrogance vanished before the law. That is exactly why our villain cornered him so easily. Finding himself arrested in broad daylight, Lin Fang narrowed his eyes and began processing his options at lightning speed. Looking at this useless trash and remembering he would destroy my entire future, leading to my horrific death, my anger erupted. After some tense moments, he decided not to resist. "Do not bother officers. I can walk to the cruiser on my own." What? They arrested Lin Fang. Hearing this shocking news, Tang Dexian nearly jumped right out of his seat. "Yes, grandfather. That is true," Tang Yu replied quickly. "I was just heading out when I saw a police cruiser intercept and take him away in handcuffs." "How is that even possible?" Tang Dexian panicked. "Tang Yu, hurry come with me to the police department right away." She felt he was overreacting completely, but after thinking it over, she gave a nod and decided to accompany him. Word of the arrest spread like wildfire, and trust me, you and I will definitely want to see what happens when Boss Zhang finds out. Let us dive in and see how this billionaire masterfully plays his new villain role. To smooth things over, Zhang Jian called my driver Li Jun, right as a transfer notification popped up on my phone. Without a second thought, Li Jun slammed his foot on the gas pedal, heading straight for the police station. As I stepped out, a group of officers rushed over to greet me with deep respect. "Hello, Mr. Chen. Thanks for your hard work," I said, waving politely, which completely caught the officers off guard. Furious, I lost all control. Such an important man, yet not a single trace of arrogance on him. "Mr. Chin, this way, please." A young officer quickly stepped up to lead us, so Li Jun and I followed him inside. Meanwhile, a voice asked, "So do you admit you did it?" Lin Fang smirked arrogantly and shrugged. "Why even bother denying it, yes? I did it, and I will take full responsibility." Liu Ruoxi grit her teeth in frustration. This guy had obviously saved someone, but his methods were brutal and his attitude was way too indifferent. His shameless attitude made her blood boil. Right at that exact moment, I pushed open the interrogation room door and walked right in. I walked straight into that tense standoff, and my gaze immediately shifted over to Liu Ruoxi's face. In that split second, my heart skipped a beat. This female officer had fair skin and a face so delicate she looked like a portrait. Her figure was stunning and elegant. She was definitely a rare top-tier beauty that you would never expect to find in a police force. And pay attention here, she was actually questioning the main character. Damn it, is this not the classic cliché of a main heroine? How on earth did I accidentally let this guy meet yet another of the main female leads? Instantly, right before the shocked eyes of the doctors and guards, I stepped forward and slapped him right across the face. I was so focused on using Tong to harvest villain points earlier. How could I forget that these stories always feature a gorgeous female cop? If I had known this would happen, I wouldn't have called the cops for 10,000 villain points. This guy's plot armor is absolutely ridiculous. I screamed internally as my system began scanning this Lin Fang guy. His luck stat was 3,753, a confirmed child of destiny. Seeing that number left me completely speechless. I do not even have a tiny fraction of his luck. I completely give up on this madness. The moment I walked in, Liu Ruoxi and her partner stood up. "You must be Mr. Chin, right?" "Yes, that is me." I did not even want to look at Lin Fang. Turning directly to Liu Ruoxi, I said, "Officer Liu, I am sure you know why I am here." "I understand," Liu Ruoxi replied. "Mr. Chin, could we perhaps speak somewhere else?" "No problem." I agreed immediately. "You saw that too, right?" She sighed with relief and led me to an office. Skipping the small talk, I pulled up a chair and sat right across from her. "Mr. Chin, regarding this morning's incident, we understand the basic situation. Why on earth are you crying? You have dragged our family honor through the dirt." I snapped in a freezing, cold voice. "It seems your son was the one who started the fight." Liu Ruoxi then summarized all the details she had gathered so far. That is the situation in a nutshell. "Mr. Chin, how do you think we should handle this matter properly?" After saying this, Liu Ruoxi glanced at me sideways, trying to gauge exactly how I would react to her words. A heavy silence filled the room for a moment. Finally, I spoke slowly. "Your findings do not really differ from what I already know. You do not need to read my face to do your job. Just act according to the law. I am a law-abiding citizen. I only want justice." When I said this, Liu Ruoxi was completely stunned. After all, it was not even that major of an issue. Given my family's massive influence in this city, making a minor problem like this vanish would be as simple as snapping my fingers. Considering that she suggested that in her professional experience the best route was for both sides to sit down and talk. Settling this privately would obviously save a massive amount of headaches for absolutely everyone involved in the case. Hearing her, I flashed a faint smirk and let out a soft chuckle. "Officer Liu, tell me, how are we supposed to settle this privately?" Qinshi clutched his face, his eyes wide with utter shock. "Dad, did you hit me?" "Of course I did. Do you seriously expect a grown man like me to negotiate compensation money with some kid?" Liu Ruoxi froze instantly at my words. "Of course I have money to burn. Why on earth would I care about whatever measly compensation Lin Fang could actually offer? All right, do not stress over it anymore." I stood up and assured her that I would simply send my lawyer to handle everything. Seeing that Liu Ruoxi was completely lost for words, I decided to leave the place immediately. Getting to lock someone like Lin Fang in a jail cell for a few days sounded highly entertaining anyway. Let us keep it at that. I have other matters to attend to, so I won't waste your time. "Sorry for the trouble today," I said politely, offering her my hand. "No, please don't worry about it. It is our duty." Slightly flustered, she reflexively reached out her hand to shake mine. I felt her soft, cool hand in mine for a fleeting second. How interesting. She watched me leave the station with my driver. Liu Ruoxi was completely baffled. If he knew Lin Fang was arrested, shouldn't he have used his massive political influence to pressure us? Why did he even bother showing up in person to visit the interrogation room? Useless garbage. I backhanded him across the cheek again. "If you say one more word, I will break your other leg myself." In the end, Lin Fang was geared up to confront me, but I didn't even look at him. Quite a wild ride for us, wouldn't you say? Come along with me to watch this guy burn with rage as he vows to force the powerful Qin family down to their knees. After all, the one thing a proud man can never tolerate is being looked down upon. His ruthless side was fully awake now. Meanwhile, outside the police station, a rather ordinary sedan slowly pulled up. The car stopped and two people stepped out. I recognized one of them immediately. Well, well, little miss. It seems fate really wants us together, does it not? Who would expect our paths to cross at a police station? In no rush to leave, I approached them with a smile. Hello, President Chin. Seeing me, Tang Shuer's face went completely pale. She began to stutter. What is wrong? You look like you have just seen a ghost. I narrowed my eyes in amusement as the elderly Tang Dexian hurried over to greet President Chin. Before she could speak, Tang Dexian stepped forward with an apologetic smile. Tang Dexian, I whispered with a grin. Of course I know you. System successful reprimand of the prodigal son altering the main plotline. Villain points increased by 300. You are a very famous traditional doctor in Kuming. I have heard your medical skills are truly extraordinary. You flatter me, President Chinteng Dexian replied, bowing. It is no flattery. I have known of your stellar reputation for a long time. By the way, what brings you here, respected elder? My question was a trap, as I already knew the answer perfectly. But that simple question made Old Man Tang's heart sink. He knew I was fully aware of his connection to Lin Fang. Watch closely, because this was my way of testing his stance, and Old Tang already had plenty of life experience. He was a master at reading people, so he understood the situation instantly and quickly apologized to President Chin. I just learned that Mr. Lin and young Master Chin had an altercation last night. He has only just arrived in Kuming. Since he is new, he acted impulsively. I hope you can show some mercy, act generously, and let this matter drop. Tang Dexian was a clever man. Every word he spoke carried a hidden motive. First, pretending he just found out cleared him of blame, proving he was not involved from the start. You and I both know defying fate brings great rewards. Beginner gift. I acquired the divine level poison mastery skill. Next, saying Lin Fang was new suggested they were not close. He was clearly begging for mercy. Yet he was humble enough to keep his distance without causing offense, hitting 3 targets with 1 single stone. I smiled and replied, Mr. Tang, I really do not understand what you are talking about. I, Qin Tian, am just a simple businessman. My son was beaten up, so all I could do was call the police. You ask me for mercy. I am a law-abiding citizen. How could I have any authority to interfere in official matters? But do not worry. Whoever is found guilty will simply have to face the legal consequences. If my son started the fight, I will not blame an innocent man or take my anger out on others. Now, I know what you are thinking. Will the police actually handle this fairly? Old Tang could not say a single word. My words completely silenced Tang Dexian. Seeing this, I waved my hand dismissively and said, well, I have things to do. Take care. After a brief nod, I turned around and slid into the back seat of my Rolls-Royce. Your own son will drive you to complete ruin just to protect him. A flood of system alerts popped up instantly. Before I could even react, an avalanche of forbidden knowledge overwhelmed my mind. My movements were swift and decisive, leaving absolutely no room for any negotiation. Naturally, nobody noticed. Right before closing the car door, a mocking smirk spread across my face. Do they really think they can just sweep this massive issue under the rug? That old patriarch of the Tang family is far too naive. I put too much effort into locking this guy up to let him walk free. Old Lee, call Dong Jun immediately. Tell him to handle this case and lock that brat away." "Understood, President Chin," Old Lee replied, feeling quite confused. He simply could not understand why his boss was insisting on using the law to settle this matter. The news reached Dongjun incredibly fast. Hearing everything, he slapped his thigh and yelled, "Lin Fang is going to rot in a cell." Even if young Chin started it, Lin Fang's attacks were lethal. My son only threw a single punch, and he retaliated by kicking him away and taking down several bodyguards. Defeating them was not enough. He rushed young Master Chin and broke his leg with a brutal, ruthless stomp. This divine poison skill is insane. Hundreds of lethal formulas that are completely odorless, colorless, and impossible to ever trace. That kind of devastating finishing move clearly proves he had absolutely no intention of showing any mercy. The evidence is right there for everyone to see. Every single blow targeted a vital spot. If I cannot put him behind bars with this, I will resign. By the time I returned home, it was already 9 p.m. Before I could even sit on the sofa, the doorbell rang, and Butler Fang announced that Miss Mu had arrived. Hearing this, I raised an eyebrow and let her in. Mu dear walked in with quick, confident, and highly efficient steps. She is my secretary, Mu dear, and trust me, you and I are going to want to see what she has brought. Come with me and let us discover this absolute gem. Just look at her. Black hair in a high bun, dark-rimmed glasses. White blouse, pencil skirt, sheer stockings, and high heels. Her elegant walk radiated a deeply commanding aura. "President Qin," she said respectfully, standing in the middle of the room. I looked her up and down before coldly replying, "Take a seat." After the original owner's wife passed away, he had several mistresses, but Mudai was never one of them. I opened the system panel with deep curiosity to check my current stats, and not for lack of beauty that had nothing to do with it. The real reason was that this woman was incredibly capable. The company simply would not run without her. No matter how arrogant the protagonist was, he could not afford to lose his most important pillar, just for a fleeting moment of pleasure. "President Qin, I am here to brief you on tomorrow's schedule and our work progress." I nodded. The executive meeting scheduled for today was postponed because of the young master's current situation. It was moved to 10 in the morning. Also, President Su of the Su Group scheduled a dinner with you tomorrow at 5 in the afternoon at the Diha Hotel to discuss the family alliance. Here is the full itinerary. "Would you like to take a look?" she said, handing me an important document. Hearing that, I waved my hand. My head hurts. There is no need, just make sure everything is organized well. Understood, President Qin. Here is also the project document for the Yuk residential area. Right after she continued reporting on the progress of the last few days. Nearly an hour passed before she finally left. Aside from charm, my stats were worse than an average man. But a charm score of 500 seemed pretty decent. As for me, my first day transmigrating into the body of this powerful chief executive officer was officially over. Now, this is where things get incredibly tense for us. I arrived early to clean up the mess while Len Fang spent the night in custody. Hearing he could end up in prison, he froze completely. Very early in the morning, the police arrived to notify him of his 2 charges: excessive self-defense and intentional assault. With that, he would spend at least a couple of years behind bars. Lin Fang's eyes turned cold silently, swearing a deadly revenge against the Qin family. But hatred aside right now, he had no idea how to break this terrible dead end. "Junior brother Lin, I am truly sorry," Tang Dexian said with guilt. You cannot be blamed for this. It was my mistake not to see the situation clearly. Lin Fang spoke calmly, even though he was furious inside. The Chin family wants to see me behind bars, but no way. As he said that, his mind quickly raced through several escape options. Seeing the sudden glint in Lin Fang's eyes, Tang Dexian immediately continued speaking. But why does my luck only have 100 points? Right then, the system answered my question immediately. I know what you are thinking. Could this be his plan, Brother Lin? Ask for whatever you want. I won't refuse. He smiled, snapping back to reality. Actually, there is something I need to trouble you with, Elder. Tang Dexian raised an eyebrow, quite surprised by his sudden request. Lin Fang took off a jade pendant from his neck. Please help me deliver this item to someone important. Ding! The minor adjustment to the protagonist's plot was successfully applied. Villain points plus 300 minus 20 luck. I stared at my system notification with a frown. Only 300 points. Last time, just for calling the police, I got 800. This time, even after hiring a lawyer, I got absolute peanuts. I shook my head and stopped overthinking it. After all, these are things that I simply cannot control. I just need to keep moving forward. Meanwhile, the president walked alongside his beautiful secretary Mudai, arriving at the office with a serious face. He walked firmly. Mudai followed him, holding a folder serious. As she walked beside him, she kept briefing him on today's tasks, but we can clearly see she kept stealing glances at him. Because of the main character, the chosen one, the host's fortune will gradually be absorbed by him. His upright posture and calm face radiated an incredibly commanding yet serene aura. He was completely unlike any man she had ever met. To her, he was absolute perfection, but sadly, her own background was just too ordinary. Compared to a man so ridiculously wealthy, they belonged to completely different worlds. She had to bury that love deep in her heart. She never dared to dream of loving him. Second brother. You are finally here. 88 Kin Corporate. As soon as the elevator doors opened, a man in a suit with slicked back hair and a wide smile was waiting outside the boardroom to greet me. The Chin family had 4 children. Each had a very distinct personality. The eldest brother, Chiang, had served in the military for more than 10 years. He possessed a very calm temperament and preferred to stay completely away from the business. He only managed a few luxury hotels seeking peace. The third brother, Chin Yu, truly lived up to his name. He spent all his time training in martial arts. With a fiery temper, he managed all the family's gyms, combat dojos, and nightclubs. Luck cannot be seen or touched, but it is the most crucial factor defining absolute success or failure. The youngest, Quinua, was a great businesswoman. Stick around for more. Let's dive into this world where she managed all of the family's female brands with her master's degree. She was fierce and decisive. Meanwhile, as the second son, I showed a natural talent for business since childhood. The old man handed me the core assets, making you wonder if my siblings would get insanely jealous. But that was impossible because in typical webtoon fashion villain families, always share one very specific trait. They are completely united like solid iron. Touch one of us, and the entire furious clan strikes you back. It wasn't an act, it was pure instinct. Hey, third brother, what are you doing here anyway? I came to bring you an invitation. Chin casually pulled out a gold card announcing his wedding in half a month. Second brother, you absolutely have to be there. I planned to give it to you at dinner, but feared work would make you forget. I was stunned. So, suddenly, what do you mean, suddenly? And what exactly do villain points do? I continued to ask in my mind. I am already 38, so getting married now is not rushed. Chinu smiled from ear to ear, looking incredibly relaxed. All right, brother, you should hurry up too. As he spoke, he glanced over at Mui, who was standing right next to me. I am waiting to celebrate your wedding with Miss Mui here. Hearing that comment, I completely froze. Watched closely, because Mudai's cheeks flushed bright red, and her ears steamed while I snapped at him to be serious. This guy is almost 40 years old and still loves teasing me all day long. Chinu laughed so hard he slammed the table, completely amused. We chatted a bit more before he handed over the invitation and left. Just as Henyu walked out, the group's regular executive board meeting officially began. The conference table filled up quickly with every single key member of the company taking their seats. Seeing them in absolute silence hanging on my every word felt incredibly satisfying. This meeting had no complicated procedures. We only discussed which land plots remained stuck in the legal approval phase. The host can exchange them for real-world resources in the shop, or save 1,000 points for rare skills and upgrade items, which project needed more funding, and which key contacts we had to win over. With the original owner's memories on my side, and with Morang Dai supporting me to avoid mistakes, resolving these issues was an absolute breeze. But I completely failed to realize that ever since Chinny brought up the topic of marriage, Murang Dai was discreetly stealing glances at me behind her dark glasses. It was 3 p.m. at the Su family mansion. Su Jiangyang was standing right in the middle of his luxurious villa's living room. Frowning, he looked confusedly at his elderly father sitting on the sofa. Dad, who is the real owner of this jade pendant, let's pause here. Is it really worth making an enemy out of the Chin family for this? Whether the Chin family is worth it or not isn't my call. The old Master Su stared at the strange jade pendant. He couldn't find a single clue on it stating in a low, firm voice that it represented an ancient promise. Back then, everything was utter chaos. I was desperately running from enemies with absolutely nowhere left to hide. My eyes lit up when I saw a shop button actually existed on the interface. That person saved my life. But even so, Dad, you can't marry Yan to a nobody. Jungyang sighed with deep worry. If Yan finds out about this, won't she make a huge scene? Why would she ever complain? The old master snorted with disdain. Becoming the fiancée of his disciple is an absolute blessing for her. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity anyone would beg for. What could she complain about grandfather? Dad, what are you two discussing? A clear, melodious voice cut through their argument as an elegant figure in a light blue dress gracefully stepped inside. It was Su Yan Ya, the 24-year-old only daughter of Su Jiangyang. I know exactly what they're thinking. Her dark hair and cold, stunning face made it completely impossible to look away. Yan, what are you doing here? Seeing his daughter at the door? Su Jiangyang was completely frozen on the spot. His face flushed slightly. Neither he nor her grandfather had mentioned a single word about what they were debating. I forgot a document here, and came back to get it, Su-Yun said calmly, locking eyes with her father. You will be the main character's stepping stone and die miserably under a bridge. Hearing that, I stared at my screaming son on the stretcher. I clicked on it instantly. Most eye-catching was the cash exchange where a single point equaled $100,000. Dad, I heard you talking about a fiancé and found it very strange. Su Jiangyang immediately felt even more awkward. His fingers toyed nervously with his trousers. With no escape left, the old master decided to tell her everything directly. Grandfather waved it off. A childhood betrothal to an ice beauty, we all know this classic, famous cliché. But if this story follows the usual trope, this cold female president will reject the proposal right away. Next, her granddad will hire the male lead at her company, probably as her personal driver or bodyguard. Trust me, you'll want to see what happens next. Get ready, because you and I are about to watch heiress Su Yang absolutely lose it over an arranged marriage. With that, she grabbed her folder and stormed out, slamming the door. Old Master Su could only let out a heavy sigh. Jiang Yang just shook his head with a bitter smile, but the old man already had a brilliant plan up his sleeve. Given enough time, his granddaughter would surely fall for the guy. Xiaodi, check the company books. How much cash do we actually have? There were also company shares, 1,000 points for a 1% stake. Sealing business deals over expensive dinners and drinks is pretty much standard practice for high society here, which is why Muhai scheduled tonight's meeting between the Qin and Su families. We have around 6 billion. I stroked my chin and nodded. Is that enough? Do you need capital? Because I can transfer it right now. No need. I was just curious. Go get ready for our dinner meeting later. For me, keeping the family legacy afloat is plenty. Why should I even waste energy thinking about other projects? Besides, nothing pays off faster than scamming the main character. Join me. We are heading to the Imperial Grand Hotel at Bai. The moment we arrived at the entrance, a sharp-dressed man hurried over. Welcome, Chief Executive Officer Chin. I am the manager here, Mr. Gong. Chief Executive Officer Su is already waiting in the private suite. Lead the way. Following him down the hall, we quickly reach the Celestial Grace Suite. Ha, Uncle Chin, you are here. Please come in. Now watch closely here. Hello, Uncle Chin. Wait, is that little Yan Wow you have grown so much? With that insane exchange rate, my heart raced. Those 2 slaps to my son were worth over $30 million for free. Let your uncle give you a big hug. I almost said that out loud, but thankfully stopped myself in time. Both of our families run in Quming City's high society, so we go back. Not super close, but no bad blood. The Su family's core business is manufacturing home appliances, and their reputation in the industry is absolutely flawless. This time, our joint venture revolves around a prime piece of land, which makes things a bit complicated. The Qin family does not do real estate. Our capital is tied up in electronics, but we have amazing connections. So the Su and Qin families struck a deal. We would secure the land for the Su family to develop. No cash up front from us, we just collect dividends. Aside from their driver and personal bodyguard, the Su family brought 3 key people to this dinner. Su Jiangyang, his daughter Su Yan, and her secretary. Honestly, seeing Su Yan in person completely took my breath away. She was stunning, a total head-turner, but her eyes were as ice-cold as a frozen lake in winter, as I felt all of that massive information flooding my brain. The classic, arrogant Ice Queen CEO archetype. First, a fragile nurse, then a hot-tempered cop, and now this frozen beauty. You and I both know she has got to be another female lead, right? Until she and the hero bond, her luck won't transfer to the villain. They seem like normal people, so identifying the chosen one is impossible. I can only make an educated guess. Right now, Su Yan is the prime candidate, but I am not 100% sure. Both patriarchs exchanged polite pleasantries to keep up appearances, but the ones hashing out the details were Muai and Secretary Li Yuang. Then footsteps approached. "I heard your son, Ko-keen, got into a fight yesterday and ended up in the hospital. Is that true?" Before even touching his food, Su Jungyang dropped that heavy question. "Yes, unfortunately. That is exactly what happened. My boy was out of line first, but the other guy was ruthless. Left him within inches of permanent damage. I could not let it slide. The police stepped in and now he is locked up. System." I stared at my terrified idiot son sitting in silence. Trust me, with a cold smile, I knew our destiny would change. Su Yan's impression of the host has shifted. Villain points plus 100. Fortune value increased. Wait, what? We barely said 2 sentences, and her attitude already flipped. I glanced sideways at Su Yan sitting next to me. To my surprise, she was staring right back. Our eye locked, and a faint blush dusted her cheeks. She quickly realized she had been caught staring and spoke up to break the sudden tension. "Uncle Chin, I used to hear rumors that you were incredibly overprotective and let your son get away with everything. Seeing you today, those sound like completely baseless rumors. You certainly know how to flatter an old man niece." I laughed heartily, but that is not entirely true. Those rumors actually have some truth to them. Then my expression turned serious. Years ago, I was completely consumed with building my business empire. I had no time for my boy. His spoiled behavior today is entirely my fault, but I have learned my lesson. From now on, I will keep him on a tight leash. I cannot let him cause any more trouble. I calmly sat down on the room's sofa. "All right, speak up now. What exactly happened back there?" I sounded completely sincere, but, tell me, do you and I think this will win me some villain points? All right, stick with me here. Not only was Su Yan completely shocked, but so was her father, Su Jingyang. And even Mudai, who was chatting with the secretary nearby, turned around. The system chimed, confirming I successfully replaced the female lead. Su Yan's impression of me improved. Villain points plus 300. Fortune plus 20. Ding. Key character detected. Su Jingyang's impression of me shifted too. Villain points plus 200. Fortune value plus 10. Villain points have reached the absolute limit. You can now claim your reward. Spin the wheel now. Wait. What kind of status does this Su Jingyang actually hold? I froze. Seeing that key character label on the system, everything finally clicked. He must be one of those powerful figures who back the protagonist Lin Fang in the original story. With players like him, if I can flip their opinion of me, I will secure massive resources. Just thinking about it made me want to slam the table. If I had known this sooner, I would have crushed Tang Dexuan a few more times. System reward successfully claimed. Come along with me as this spoiled young master gets completely silenced by his father's terrifyingly cold stare. Max level combat skills. This is exactly what I need to raise my own physical strength right away. The second those elite combat skills popped up on the screen, I accepted them without a single hesitation. As the max-level skills integrated, a massive flood of information rushed into my mind. I am now 1,000 times stronger than when I blindly built power. President Qin. Have you perhaps had some deep, profound revelation about life recently? It has been a while since we last met, but your entire aura has shifted. Su Jingyang picked up the glass from the waiter and personally poured me some Romani tea. Seeing his polite gesture, I reached out my hand and accepted the wine glass without hesitation. We both took a sip and made small talk. Now, pay close attention here, because right as the dishes are served, Su Jingyang sets down his chopsticks. His tone grew serious. To be honest, besides discussing our business collaboration today, I actually have a small favor to ask you. I would like your help with a certain matter. The moment those words left his mouth, I knew exactly what was coming. Whatever it is, please speak plainly. I absolutely despise when people beat around the bush. Tell me everything from the very beginning. If you cannot explain it clearly, how can I clean up your mess? Su Jingyang looked slightly taken aback. Well, ha. Since you are so direct, I will not hide it anymore. In reality, Lin Feng, the young man who had that conflict with your son, has ties to my Su family. He glanced sideways to gauge my reaction. Seeing no shift on my face, he continued. Could I ask you to go easy on him? Please do not take this any further. Let the boy avoid prison time. What do you say? Obviously, he was here to plead on Lin Feng's behalf. Even though the system's prompt had already warned me that Su Jingyang was indeed a major character, I never expected this powerful man would humble himself in person just to beg for Lin Feng's freedom. That Lin Feng guy literally just arrived in this city a few days ago. How did he charm the mighty Su family so fast, protagonist luck is absolutely ridiculous. He gains allies anywhere his fortune is insane. I bet you and I both know the old kin would have fallen right into this trap. I pretended to think it over for a brief second before calmly replying, to be totally honest, I had no clue. I had no idea that boy possessed such heavy backing, or that he was even connected to your Su family. They were both heirs born with silver spoons. So why is my kid the only one who is hopelessly stupid? Honestly, my son started yesterday's fight. I wanted him to spend some time behind bars to learn a lesson, but Lin Feng's methods were far too brutal. That is why I had to involve the police. Su Jingyang was utterly stunned to hear this. So well, since you put it like that, wouldn't it be incredibly disrespectful of me to reject your requests? Do not worry about financial compensation. I have absolutely no need for such pocket change. Just have him apologize to me in person, and we are even. President Su, does that sound like a fair deal? The moment Su Jingyang heard my proposal, he was absolutely thrilled and accepted it right away. Based on what he knew of my old self, I should have blindly protected my son, demanding an open clash and cutting ties instantly. Either way, the Su and Qin families would have become mortal enemies. But who would expect a simple apology would settle it now? Who would reject such a profitable deal? But Su Jingyang failed to realize this matter was far more complicated than it seemed. Leaving everything else aside, forcing Lin Feng to bow his head and apologize is basically an impossible mission. The moment I stopped speaking, I glanced at Lie Jun. He understood. Have you ever seen the main character of a novel sincerely apologize to the actual villain? If the hero were that spineless, the readers would be the first to riot. Secretly celebrating, Su Jingyang immediately pulled out his phone. He called his subordinates, telling them to rush down to the police station to pick up Lin Feng, ordering them to declare that the conflict was completely resolved. I acted with absolute decision as well. I turned around and phoned Legion immediately, telling him to notify Dong Junoo to drop the case. Fall back. With just one word from me, Dong Junoo ordered all of his men to retreat. At the station, Yurooki finally sighed in relief. Trust me, what comes next is pure madness. Come along with me to witness this absolute chaos. Just a moment ago, she was terrified the Qin family would never let this go, giving investigators a daily headache. Meanwhile, right outside the police station entrance, Lin Feng walked right out the front doors looking incredibly relaxed, thinking the jade pendant from the old man was actually doing its job. The Qin family is nothing to fear. Let's go, President Su is waiting at the Imperial Hotel. My dad is Qin Tian, the brat shrieked. So I slapped him twice hard, leaving the entire hospital room in absolute silence. Within seconds, the doctors were escorted out, and the door shut completely. The driver coldly reminded him. "All right, I am coming," Lin Fang replied with a sly smirk. Before leaving, he glanced back, wishing he had bragged a bit more to Liu Ruoqi, but he had to focus on what lay ahead. His biggest priority now was rushing to meet his fiancée. Half an hour later, at the Imperial Hotel, everyone finished eating and sat chatting comfortably inside the grand main dining hall. The driver led Lin Fang inside. He pushed the door open, stepping into the room as his eyes instantly scanned the entire place. He didn't miss a single beautiful woman, but once his gaze locked onto Su Yanran, he immediately got his answer. Now pay attention here, because he seriously never expected his fiancée to be this gorgeous, with a face that easily rivaled meringue. She was absolutely stunning. Leaving his mountain retreat was totally worth it. "You must be Lin Fang, then." Su Xiangyang instantly assumed a dominant stance. Lin Fang bowed slightly, putting on a polite act to greet his new uncle. Seeing the boy show some manners, Su Xiangyang nodded in approval, gesturing to the empty chair right next to him. Seeing his father take his side, Qinshi immediately perked up, whining and wildly exaggerating every single detail. "Have a seat." Lin Fang did not hesitate and sat right down. "We will discuss other matters later on. First, let me introduce you. This is President Qin. You likely already know each other." "Know each other? Of course we do." Lin Fang smirked mockingly. If his son had not been so blind, why would I have ended up locked in that filthy cell? The moment those words left his mouth, except for me, everyone's expression shifted completely, including Su Yanran and Mo Rongdi. They wondered if this guy was literally insane for insulting them like this. Disrespecting two powerhouses like that did not just humiliate Qin Tian. It also dragged down Su Xiangyang, who glared sideways at me instantly. Seeing that I still had no reaction, he quickly forced a stern look to try and salvage the incredibly tense room. "Lin Fang, do you have any idea what kind of nonsense you are spewing?" Lin Fang felt the heavy air but did not back down. "Uncle Su, I obviously know exactly what I am saying. His son was playing the bully in broad daylight, flexing his power and trying to attack me just because he had personal bodyguards. 10 minutes later, my face turned as black as a burnt pot. It turns out this idiot was harassing a girl in public, got stopped, and a fight broke out. If I had not reacted fast enough, I would be in a hospital bed right now." Before I could say more, Su Xiangyang slammed the table in pure rage. "You seriously respect absolutely no one. The young master of President Qin's own family. Let's think about this together. Is it your place to judge him? Go over there right now and apologize to President Qin. Otherwise, I, Su Xiangyang, will cut all ties this very day, and none of us will ever find a single moment of peace." Witnessing Lin Fang's arrogance, Su Yanran frowned in disappointment, unable to stop herself from stealing a quick glance back at me. Unlike a reckless brat like Lin Fang, Uncle Qin exuded a remarkably calm and reliable presence from his chair. That is what a true leader looks like. Lin Fang shot him a look of pure contempt. "I am sorry, Uncle Su. I will show some respect this time, but begging me to bow down and admit a fault, that is never going to happen. You arrogant brat, do you think you are invincible? I never should have begged President Qin to spare your worthless life. Su Xiangyang's voice shook with absolute rage. His professional bodyguards ended up flat on the floor, and a single kick broke his leg. Hearing this, Lin Feng frowned. Uncle Su, you should not have lowered yourself to beg him in the first place. With my skills crushing, the Qin family would be effortless. But before anyone could reply, Su Xiangyang grew dizzy and collapsed backward. Dad. Dad. What is wrong? Su Yanran reacted instantly since she was standing nearby. Even I, who only wanted to enjoy the drama, had no time to think. I rushed forward and managed to catch his falling body. Seeing Su Xiangyang collapse, Lin Feng did not panic. On the contrary, a sharp, calculating gleam lit up his eyes. His golden opportunity had arrived. If he cured him, his slate would be wiped completely clean. This protagonist's luck is truly insane. The more desperate the situation, the easier it is to rewrite fate. Right as the guards prepared to rush him to the hospital, Lin Feng cut in, demanding to examine him first. Su Yanran spun around, and seeing who it was, erupted in anger. Guards, drag him out of here. I never want to see him again. 2 heavy bodyguards immediately jumped into action, closing in on Lin Feng from both sides. Some random country bumpkin who just arrived in the city managed to utterly destroy professional bodyguards and easily shatter the leg of the young master of the Qin family. Sensing danger, Lin Feng shouted that he was a doctor dealing with a sudden stroke. What do you think will happen next? Get ready, because you and I are about to watch a cruel fate get completely flipped. If I do not act now, he will be cold before you reach the hospital. Lin Feng warned, freezing Su Yanran in place. Even though her father's collapse was entirely Lin Feng's fault and she was already completely sick of this guy. Still, his words made sense. It would take at least 15 minutes to reach the nearest hospital, and with the city's heavy traffic, they might not even make it in half an hour. Seeing Lin Feng so confident, and without a hint of deceit, Su Yanran hesitated. Just as she was about to agree, a firm, calm voice suddenly echoed right beside her. Yanran, do not trust him. She snapped her head up and saw me ordering the bodyguards to lay him down. I placed Su Zhengyang on his back while checking his pulse with one hand without even looking up. Your father ended up like this because of him, and now you are going to let him save him. Besides, look at him, he is barely 20. What kind of doctor could he be? Su Yanran instantly reacted to those words. You do not need a genius to connect the dots. But Uncle Qin, we cannot just sit here and do nothing. Hearing her, I raised a hand, keeping my fingers on his wrist. Do not worry, I will handle this. I leaned down to check his breathing and unbuttoned Su Zhengyang's shirt. Lin Feng. Absolutely furious, roared Gintian. You are just using this opportunity to get revenge. Now, pay attention here, because if you delay his treatment, you will be his killer. This was his last chance to save the day, but someone else was completely snatching it away. How could he not be furious? Shut up, I barked, having no time to waste on him. After confirming his heart was barely beating, I quickly positioned him and started chest compressions. The scene left everyone jaw-dropped. The great and powerful President Qin actually knew first aid. Lin Feng, gritting his teeth to insult me again, froze when he saw my movements. The technique was flawless. The rhythm pressure and hand placement were flawless. Even he could not have done it any better. Everyone. Step back, please. Do not crowd around him. Now, pay attention here, because this mysterious guy sounds exactly like an overpowered main character. Father, you must get revenge for me. Give him some air. Air, I ordered firmly while continuing chest compressions. Hurry everyone back. Su Yan-ran had no time to hesitate and followed my orders instantly. Off to the side, she clenched her fist tightly, her own heart pounding with the rhythm of every compression. I know what you are thinking. Will this actually work? Luckily, using my true energy secretly, Su Zhengyang's body suddenly reacted. A faint beat returned to his chest. Seeing this, Su Yanran cried out in joy, Uncle Chin. My father's heart is beating again. I nodded, gave a few final compressions, and stood up. Your father already had a delicate heart condition. He got too worked up just now and ran out of oxygen. But he is stable now. Seeing her father completely recover, Su Yanran turned to look at me with eyes full of deep gratitude. Uncle Chin, thank you so much. I had no idea you could do this. You were amazing. I smiled faintly as I stretched my shoulders and wrists. It is just a minor trick, nothing special. Chinny gritted his teeth. Breaking my leg is a direct slap in your face. That guy is way too strong. Just then, Murong Dai walked over slowly and offered me a handkerchief. Boss, wipe your sweat. Taking it, I wiped my forehead and looked around, slightly confused. Where did that brat Lin Fang run off to? Suddenly, the system's voice chimed in my head. Congratulations, host, for outsmarting the protagonist and saving a key character. You have earned 500 villain points. You also stole 500 luck points. Limit reached skill lottery unlocked. Do you want to use it now? Why save a free spin? I started the draw immediately, and the system flashed success. 2 choices available. Pick one. First, max level master piano skills. Second, maximum dance rhythm ability. To be honest, both of these options were pretty useless. Singing and dancing are minor things. I had no real use for them. So, without overthinking, I just chose the piano skill. It seemed a bit more elegant to show off with later. Dad. Wake up a minute later, after guards carried him to the sofa, Su Zhengyang slowly opened his eyes. As soon as Su Zhengyang woke up, he still felt a bit dizzy and disoriented. Normal people cannot touch him. What if we hire a professional hitman? Shut up, I barked, cutting him off. What just happened to me, Dad? You suddenly passed out. Uncle Chin saved your life. Su Yanran quickly explained. As he recalled what had happened, the way Su Zhengyang looked at me became filled with growing awe. After that, they decided to take Su Zhengyang to the hospital. Even though he was awake, considering his status and influence, a preventive checkup was best for safety. His daughter, Su Yanran, naturally accompanied him. But before leaving, he came over in private to apologize to me. After all they had begged for Linfang, and trust me, he had no idea I was already celebrating my absolute victory. All right, you and I are about to see how this tiny move scored me massive villain points and insane luck. Plus, Su Zhengyang immediately decided on the spot to hand over a cut of our project profits as a gesture of goodwill. Do not underestimate that 10%. With the resources of both families, net profits would easily clear 5 billion. That 10% meant 500 million in clean cash. The only annoying part? That brat Lin Fang vanished. Is it your job to teach me how to handle things? A hitman, do you have water in your brain, or what? I originally planned to use the Su family to teach him a lesson, but that plan fell completely apart. It was pretty annoying, but I get it. You have to destroy a child of destiny, slowly, step by step. Meanwhile, Lin Fong had already made his escape. The second he saw the mess he made and my textbook perfect CPR, he knew things were about to get ugly. But even after escaping, he couldn't stop overthinking. The events of the last 2 days kept spinning in his head, and he couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong, especially my behavior, which completely defied all logic. With his ties to the Su family severed, the Tang family didn't look like a solid option either. I need to change my name and vanish from the Qin family's radar. Only then can I change the game. Just as he's thinking this, he knows what to do. Watch closely. While the kid is completely distracted pulling out his cash, 2 blonde thugs with shiny daggers block his path with bad intentions. You have disgraced the Qin family. System notification, rebellious son punished. Hearing my son's utterly ridiculous ideas gave me a massive headache. Only a complete fool would come up with that. Perfect. They are digging their own graves. A second later, agonizing screams of pain echo through the narrow alley. Meanwhile, inside the Rolls-Royce, Murong Dai glanced at her boss, who was resting quietly with his eyes closed. That slight flutter in her heart. The more she tried to push it down, the stronger and louder it got. She had finally seen the truth. Other wealthy heirs only count cash, play golf, and network. But her boss actually knew first aid, and he was incredibly good at it too. In fact, his intense focused look while saving Su Jungyang almost made her heart stop. Old Lee put on some music to help us unwind. My sudden voice startled Murong Dai, who quickly looked away and pretended to stare out the window at the scenery. The music started playing, and I closed my eyes. Right now, my thoughts were racing at high speed. Judging by Su Jungyang's reaction earlier, I figured Lin Fong had no real ties to him. His actual backer was the Su family patriarch Su Guofu. Basically, as long as that old man kept shielding Lin Fang, anyone with a brain knows that only gives free experience points to the main character to make him stronger. The Su family wouldn't come after me over this. This kid is trouble, I muttered. Now, Lin Fang was hiding out in the shadows, and you and I know that staying exposed while he stalks you from the dark is incredibly dangerous. With that in mind, I opened my eyes and spoke. Old Lee, when we get back, get some men to dig into Lin Fang's whereabouts. Remember, do not get too close and do not act under any circumstances. Report to me immediately if you find anything. After saying that, I frowned, calling out to him to ask what song this even was and telling him to change it. I didn't know if it was because I just got master-level piano skills, but my ears had become extremely picky. Li Gun was surprised when I asked to change the track, but he only had 2 or 3 songs saved in the car. Normally, the boss never cared about music, so he had simply put on a random song to play. Seeing this, Murong Dai curiously asked if I wanted to hear music. I told her, not really, the ride just felt too quiet. Murong Dai instantly reacted, suggesting she could find something on her phone to play over the Bluetooth. Classic, cheap tropes. I took a deep breath, trying to suppress my rage. I will handle this matter myself. That way he could listen to whatever he wanted. At that exact moment, Qin Tian's eyes lit up as he remembered something. Fine. Search for 1,000 reasons for a broken heart. Otherwise, this whole ride is going to be incredibly boring. It was an old song that came out ages ago, but he loved that style. Murong Dai, however, looked completely baffled. That title sounded completely made up. After searching for a long time with 0 luck, she said she couldn't find it anywhere. You probably misremembered the title boss. Hearing that, I frowned, feeling like something was off. I suggested searching for Jackie Chung, but she asked if that was a singer. Even though Murong Dai was confused, she complied. Unfortunately, nothing showed up. Qin Tian's face darkened a bit. He grabbed the pink phone Murong Dai handed over and started searching on his own. He quickly typed out the names of the 4 heavenly kings from his past life and, after hitting search, slowly leaned back. He let out a long sigh. This time, he finally got it. Turns out he had actually reincarnated into a parallel universe. You just lie down and recover from your injuries. Do not interfere. Thank you, Dad. He grinned widely. I waved him off. And that's where we leave things today, a familiar world, but his epic story is just getting started. All right, let's dive into a completely wild story where the rules do not apply, and our main character is already down in the dumps. This world does not even have the 4 heavenly kings. So what is the point of even listening to this? Those hit songs you hummed to cheer up your day are useless here. But the angriest person of all was Old Man Su. When he learned his own son had passed out from sheer rage because of Lin Fang, Old Man Su ordered his driver straight to the hospital. The second he entered the room, he demanded answers without wasting a second. Did you seriously give Qintian such an absurd condition? From his hospital bed, Su Zhangyang replied in a deflated voice that everything was going just fine. Qintian accepted without hesitation. But then that damn kid Lin Fang burst in and shouted at Qintian's son in front of everyone. Dad, tell me something. How was I supposed to just sit back and watch that happen? You better behave yourself. If you dare do anything behind my back, I will break your other leg myself. And that is why he ended up like this. He sighed deeply, clenching his fists to hold back his immense rage. He feared losing control if he kept talking. Hearing this story, Old Man Su's eyes gleamed with interest. He seemed to realize something important. From what you say, this Lin Fang is just like his master back then. Now, pay close attention here, because Su Zhangyang's eyes nearly popped out of his skull when he heard that. Are you brainwashed, Dad? Or are you losing your memory? Remember, highly talented people are always a bit eccentric. That is completely normal, old man. Su muttered in a calm, steady voice, almost speaking to himself. If he is willing to defend a total stranger, it means he has a good heart. Confronting Qintian's son face to face proves he has real guts. Only a man like him deserves our Yan. Dad, wake up. Su Zhangyang was completely speechless. Staring in absolute shock, he felt his father was the one who belonged in that hospital bed. If he only knew what the old man was thinking. Kinchi shrank back in fear, nodding like a helpless victim. Old Li, go bring the doctor in charge. He would just tell himself to drop it. After all, he is a mere mortal, so how could he possibly fight against fate? The next morning, I arrived at my office spinning a pen at my desk while my mind drifted elsewhere. I still do not understand how I transmigrated into this ridiculous world. Worse, I have to spend all day stopping the main character from stealing the spotlight, ruining the peaceful life I should enjoy. Just thinking about it makes me furious, so I grabbed my phone and dialed Lie Jun right away. Now, here's where you and I see the real problem. Lin Fang has over 38,000 luck points and I only have 700, seeing that Lie Jun made 0 progress. I handed him 2 very clear commands. Start checking the security cameras at hotels and police stations right this second. Watch the parks, bars, and karaoke lounges. Those are the classic spots main characters always use to show off. In parks, it is way too easy for them to have some fateful encounter with a mysterious old man. With that, I sat down and waited in silence. It was not long before Liet Jun brought the doctor and 2 nurses. And at bars, they always end up saving someone or starting a fight. That is where the drama really explodes. I have read enough webtoons to know these cliches by heart. Lai Jun did not understand, but an order is an order. All he could do was obey. Hanging up, I narrowed my eyes, calmly planning out my next chess move. According to my reports, Lin Feng left the Tang household, but that old man definitely handed him a massive payout. Otherwise, how could a complete nobody have the confidence to live such a relaxed and carefree life? If the Tang family wants to play the hero, I do not have to be nice. I grabbed my phone again and dialed a hidden contact. "How can I help you?" "Master Han." A sweet female voice answered on the line. I cut straight to the point. I need someone with an unfamiliar face. I do not care about their combat ability. They just need to master the art of disguise. I offered 1 million a month a joke to me, and we finalized the deal. The second I transferred that 1 million in local currency, the mysterious contact was left completely speechless. President Chin looking for me. The Tang family fate was sealed. At 6 p.m. at the Grand Villa, the butler respectfully announced my delivery had arrived. Butler Fang bowed deeply while 2 maids pushed a pair of small carts right behind him. The carts were packed. Besides 2 sets of acupuncture needles, everything else was labeled bottles and colorful vials. It looked like they moved a whole pharmacy straight into my living room. I ordered them to clear out a ground floor room and store absolutely everything in there from now on. And that is where we leave him in that massive, empty room dealing with the heavy choice of cutting ties with his past. All right, let us dive in and see how our main character has to choose his next target among the girls he already knows. When you transmigrate, the best move is finding someone with a powerful destiny to support you and make you stronger. But right now, I only have the 3 female leads within my reach. Nurse Tangwei, police officer Leo Ruoki, and that cold businesswoman Su Yan. I barely know them, so hitting on them all at once could blow up in my face. The doctor asked, with a trembling voice, terrified of making a mistake. I did not even look up delivering a single cold line. As for Meringue Dai, I highly doubt she is a female lead. Plus, she has been working overtime every single day lately. Better not disturb her for now. I scrolled through my contacts for a while without finding anyone perfect, so I just changed clothes and went out for some fresh air. Meanwhile, in the surveillance room of the Linbeek bar, a young security guard sat there staring intently at the monitors. Every single corner of that bar was under his complete supervision. But look at this. The moment he spotted that woman in the corner, he jumped up. Su Yan. What is she doing here? Right then, another guard walked over in a friendly way and sat down to greet him. Brother Fang. What are you watching so closely? This guy was Tong Hai, and he had been working at this bar for about 5 or 6 years. Lin Fong casually replied that he was just getting used to the place, then paused and asked him if he had been there long. "Do you know the guy drinking over at table number 7? He asked, pointing at the surveillance monitor. "Just give him standard treatment. Do not go fulfilling his ridiculous demands. He tried to pick a fight with me a moment ago." "Oh, you mean Zhao Kai Tong Hai said, looking at the screen. He is the boss of some local thugs. Did he bother you?" "No, not at all," Lin Fang vaguely replied. Let us be honest, a main character's luck is truly on another level. He never imagined that the 2 thugs he beat up in the street last night were actually Brother Bao's underlings. Once Brother Bao heard someone touched his men, he stormed over throwing out wild threats to challenge him to a fight. But right then, An old injury of Brother Bao flared up, leaving him with a very obvious limp. Lin Fang read the room instantly, and cured him with a few swift moves, leaving Brother Bao staring in absolute awe, which is exactly why he immediately offered him the chief of security position. Of course, Lin Fang aimed much higher, knowing that the third master of the powerful Jin family was extremely sick. Now, watch closely, because if he cures that major player, he will get the power to go head-to-head with me. Reward, divine-level perception skill. Seeing that I obtained something so amazing, my gaze toward him became incredibly intense. The doctor nodded, frantically breaking out in a cold sweat. But that third master of the Jin family had not shown up lately. So, Brother Bao temporarily placed him at the seashell bar as a security chief, just to pass the time. Seeing Chao Kai bothering Su Yan Lin Fang sensed this would not end well, so he decided to dig around a bit. But he has no clue that the guy he wants to skin alive is sitting right there. Prepare yourselves. Staring at Su Yan, sitting off in the distance in total silence, my eyes lit up. What is she doing here? The original owner of this body used to pick up hostesses here. I only came out of boredom to find someone pretty. A simple one-night stand would not be bad, but who would have thought I would run straight into Su Yan? A cold corporate queen sitting alone in a bar corner late at night. Now, this is a trope I know all too well. When a female lead shows up alone in a place like this, it takes less than 10 minutes for trouble to find her. And that is when the main character swoops in to save the day looking cool and racking up major affection points. He never expected such a rich and powerful father to say that. Fine old lie, let us go. Wait, Dad. It is her. Now that Su Yan is sitting there completely defenseless, is Lin Fang keeping a close eye on her? Thinking of this, I smiled. And trust me, things played out exactly how you and I would expect. After waiting a couple of minutes, some sketchy-looking guys suddenly walked right up to her table. At the same time, I noticed the glass in Su Yan's hand shaking. She had way too much to drink. Seeing this, I knew it was my time to shine. At her table, a burly, dark-skinned guy smirked at her. "Hey, beautiful, do us a favor and have a drink with us." "Get lost," she snapped back coldly. Even though Su Yan's head was spinning, her fierce attitude remained untouched. The guy just laughed it off. "I like your attitude." Saying this, he winked at his blonde partner, who instantly got the signal. He brought over a cocktail and set it right before Su Yan. "Listen closely, sweetheart. I am Wang Wu, the boss of this area, and everyone knows my name around here. You caught my eye, but don't blink, because just as we think the drama is over, my useless son screams and points. I will give you two options. Come with me, or drink this. What do you think happens next? Come along with me for some high society drama before Wang Wu even finishes speaking." Su Yan downs her drink, slams the glass, and coldly tells him to get lost. Her bold attitude completely catches Wang Wu off guard, but he just laughs it off, loving how direct she is. Wang Wu turns malicious. "I only told you half of what I wanted. Since you emptied that glass, you belong to me now." Wearing a completely disgusting smirk, he steps even closer to her. "Since you are so straightforward, come with me right now. I promise I will treat you very gently later." He reaches out toward her shoulder. Seeing his hand, Su Yan flinches and panics for a split second. Realizing she is dealing with a creep, she tries to stand up, but the alcohol completely takes over her body. As she tries to push herself up, her vision goes black and she falls heavily back onto the chair. Watching that hand get closer while frozen in place terrifies her. She thinks it is all over, but just 10 centimeters away from her face, the hand suddenly stops cold. I turned around and saw my son pointing directly at the young nurse beside the doctor. I scanned her from head to toe. Suddenly, a freezing, indifferent voice echoes trash like you is not worthy of touching her. Where the hell did you come from to get in my way? Wang Wu roars in fury, throwing a punch straight at him. Now, pay attention here before his fist can even land. Someone grabs his wrist like an absolute steel vice. His entire body freezes up. It feels like his energy channels are being crushed one by one. The intense pain nearly makes him scream. I just stare him down with a highly mysterious, chilling smile. If you do not want your family line to end today, get out of my sight right now. Yanking his hand free, the guy backs off and threatens, "You got lucky, you can keep her today, but do not cross me again." Without looking back, he runs off. Su-yan just sits there in complete shock for a few seconds before recovering. With a shaking voice, she whispers, "Uncle Kane, why would a young lady be drinking all alone at this hour?" I look down at her, showing a mix of stern disapproval and deep sympathy for her helpless state. She was around 5'3", wearing a spotless white uniform. To Su-yan, this whole situation is completely ridiculous. Normally, she is never the type to lose control like this. Who knows why she ended up like this today? Honestly, I do not care, because the system voice just went off in my head. Congratulations from the system. You rescued Su-yan ahead of schedule. System villain points earned 2,500. You recover 100 luck points and a new skill. Not bad. I know what you are thinking about our main character, but at this rate I will not be weak. Look at my luck points, 800. I cannot help but sigh with relief. Things are looking up. Right next to me, young Su-yan looks down with embarrassment. She wants to explain herself, but the words fails her. Seeing she is troubled, I decide not to press her. I simply gesture that I will take her home. Hearing this, she tries to stand on her own, only to collapse back down. Seeing her helpless state, I let out an amused sigh. Come on, let me help you. No mask, delicate eyebrows, a tender face, and skin as white as pure milk. With these looks, is she the female lead? In her entire life, she has never been this physically close to a man. But since I am her senior, it is fine, right? Thank you then, Uncle Kane. No worries, let us go. Saying that, I do not hesitate to act immediately. I drape Su-yan's arm over my shoulder and hold her slender waist firmly. Suddenly, the system rings out. First, physical contact with the female lead. You gain 300 villain points and recover 100 luck points. Hearing that sweet system alert, a smirk of absolute and complete satisfaction creeps onto my face. Her waist is incredibly tiny, soft, yet surprisingly firm. It feels amazing. But as we leave the bar and head down the alley, I instantly frown. I see over 20 young guys armed with heavy metal pipes. They carry baseball bats and block our path aggressively. Behind them, Lie Jun and 2 other disguised bodyguards step out. Seeing this, they instantly form a protective circle around me. President, again, quick. You must escape right now. Do not worry about us. Even though they are highly skilled, the enemies completely overwhelm us in numbers. Did she break your leg? My tone was flat, yet heavy with suffocating pressure. Yes, Dad, she did. With weapons in play, fighting would be a massive disadvantage. We have no choice but to get out of here first. I looked down at the woman in my arms and lift Su-yan up in a bridal carry. Though my skills are maxed out, fighting them myself would be totally beneath my status. Well, look at you with the bodyguards. Looking at their suits, the leader sneers coldly. You act the part well, but are you really looking to end up in a pool of blood? Lai Jun asks, with a freezing expression. Wow. It has been a long time since I saw punks this blind and foolish around here. Who the hell is your brother? Wang Wu screams. Trust me, you and I are going to watch how this epic fight unfolds in the next episode. Come along with me to watch Li Jun react at lightning speed as these thugs roar and charge with their weapons. Their tactical batons snapped open. One covered the rear, another provided backup, and Li Jun cleared a path for my retreat. Seeing me carrying a girl and getting ready to escape, Wang Wu panicked and ordered his men to go after the bastard carrying the girl to stop us. I would recognize her, even if she turned to ashes. Kinshai growled with pure hatred. Beside him, Tangu sighed in defeat. The thugs surrounding the bodyguards instantly split up, and 5 of them lunged straight toward my position. Li Jun's heart skipped a beat. Those scumbags knew exactly who they needed to target. He lunged forward, taking down an opponent while trying desperately to turn back and save me. But as he threw a sidekick, 2 more thugs blocked the gap, forcing him to just yell out a warning. Suddenly, a massive strike echoed. One of the guys holding a steel pipe was sent flying backward. What the hell is going on? Before they could even process it, another devastating crash sounded. Trust me, you are not ready for this. Another thug went flying sideways in an epic movie-style launch. Dead silence fell over the place. Seizing the pause, Li Jun immediately looked back. His mind went blank seeing the supposedly weak President Qin holding a beautiful girl while lowering his leg. There was absolutely no doubt that President Qin had just sent those 2 guys flying. She had only taken the afternoon off today to go shopping at the mall. But getting blocked by these absolute scumbags completely ruined my patience. Su Yan ran, was unconscious and totally defenseless in my arms. Fighting like this was exhausting. These idiots brought this on themselves. They are forcing me to get ruthless. Right then, I spotted an old flame in the distance next to Tang Shuer and some others. Seeing them, I raised my voice and yelled to stop watching and get over here now. I needed them to watch her. Xian was still mad at me for blocking her number, but after receiving that $1 million payout, she was obedient enough to run over with her friend. I apologized to her and gently laid her down before the other girls reached us. I rolled my shoulders, loosened my joints, and charged straight into the crowd of enemies. Screams of pain erupted instantly. The girls helped Su Yan Ran, completely frozen in shock. But she ended up crossing paths with this spoiled young heir who relentlessly harassed her. Seriously, tell me if this isn't the coolest action scene ever. Their hearts were racing. What girl wouldn't want a wealthy man who can also protect her like a beast? In that moment, I was the ultimate package. Block knee, strike elbow, and a spectacular spin kick. Every move flowed with absolute precision, as if practiced 1,000 times without a single second of hesitation. It was past 11 p.m., right when the bar was packed to the brim with people. Watching this show, everyone crowded out in pure excitement. Only Lin Fang watched seriously from the shadows. What on earth is happening? Since when does this guy fight this brutally? A respectable billionaire who not only dominates medical science but also fights like an absolute monster. This feels like a cheap copy of me. Brother Fang, do we move or not? Dong Hai asked. Outside is complete chaos, and if we don't step in and get blamed, who takes the fall? Just a few minutes earlier, I had transmigrated into this wealthy body. If some outsider had not stepped in to defend her, she probably would not have escaped that situation. Lin Fang sighed calmly. Fine, you guys go handle it. I will wait here. With Lin Fang's nod, Dong Hai rallied his squad and rushed out. But the fight was already over. Watching his men collapse one by one, Wang Wu shut his mouth and tried to slip away. Noticing his quiet escape, my gaze locked in. I grabbed a small rock and threw it directly. The stone flew, as if guided, smashing hard into Wang Wu's ankle with perfect accuracy. Wang Wu tripped and ate dirt. I ordered Old Li to drag the bastard back over here. Old Li grabbed him by his collar and aggressively dragged him straight to my feet. I raised my foot and delivered a brutal stomp right behind his knee. Wang Wu whimpered, falling to his knees. How dare you, my boss is Mr. Hughesman. Hearing that, I kicked him straight in the mouth. Who is that? Go tell your boss. Who would have thought the punk with the broken leg was the son of the man standing before her? He has 3 days to apologize, or his gang vanishes. And you and I both know he is not joking. Look, if you cannot even figure out who I am, you make this too easy. You do not even have the right to exist. Did you get every word stick with me because I spat those words out with pure, icy rage? I get it, I understand, Wang Wu muttered. Spitting blood, though internally, he cursed me with absolute hatred. Apologize to you. Who do you think you are? But since he was cornered, he had to bow his head. He could only swallow his pride for now, planning to settle the score later. But why would I let him off so easy? You only need a mouth to speak. Old Li break his limbs. Wang Wu snapped his head up, his eyes widening so much they looked ready to pop out of his face. Dealing with this street trash, Old Li did not hesitate for a second, and a sickening crack echoed out. Wang Wu shrieked like a slaughtered animal, his painful scream echoing down the entire street, and just as we finished the bar, guards ran away in absolute terror. To make things worse, this man was Chai Tian. Now that she was exposed, Tangu refused to hide. I did not even bother wasting a glance on those two useless cowards. Turning to Li Jun and the others, I asked if they were okay, and they nodded, holding back their pain. Their clothes were completely ruined, covered in heavy dirt, dust, and blood splatters all over. You have 2 stab wounds, and say you are fine, I turned and told Old Li to give them 100,000 each. Go get treated at the hospital, and tell me if you need more. Hearing this, Li Jun was completely stunned. Now, watch closely. Why did his men suddenly feel like their boss had become a totally different person? In the past, he would have just cursed them out for being useless. Since when did he care about his employees' safety? But he did not overthink it. Either way, he preferred this new version of his boss 1,000 times over. Ignoring their thoughts, I ordered Li Jun to take them to the clinic while I drove Miss Su home myself. Li Jun wanted to object about me being unprotected, but seeing the groaning thugs on the ground, he held his tongue. What a coincidence. Meeting here, Qin Shi mocked. Now that my dad is here, do not dream of escaping. Why would I run? So he turned around and headed to the parking lot to rush the 2 injured bodyguards straight to the hospital. Meanwhile, I rushed over to Suyan, finding her forehead absolutely burning up with a fever. Seeing me, she muttered in fear, making me frown slightly as I reached out to touch her burning face. She really had a crazy high fever. That was when Tang Ruo blushed, mentioning she had already checked her pulse. It seems she was spiked with an aphrodisiac from the drink Wang Yu gave her, which made me laugh internally. I know what you're thinking. Without my intervention, the original hero would have taken all the credit here. A classic random encounter, and a trope so generic it was hilarious. I was not going to waste time on it. I drove off, heading toward the hospital with Su Yan. who was completely out of her mind inside the Maybach. "It is so hot. I am burning," she whimpered, as the heat grew unbearable, her clothes sliding down her shoulders. Keeping my eyes glued to the dark road ahead, I could not help but glance at the passenger seat. "You were the one who started this whole mess." Tengu stood up straight, showing absolutely no fear. To be completely honest, this sight would make any ordinary man lose his mind, and anyone else in my shoes would have lost total control long ago. For me, this was a golden opportunity served to me on a silver platter. But my system made it clear from day one. I could mess with other girls, but female leads were completely off limits. Their destinies were bound to the main character, meaning I could not afford to have a single dirty thought. Touching them required two things first. They had to be completely sober, and second, it had to be entirely consensual. Otherwise, I would be in deep trouble, and right now a drugged Su-yan was completely at my mercy. But what comes next? I am no hero with some magical plot armor that automatically makes girls fall in love with me. What if she wakes up tomorrow morning, realizes I took advantage of her, and loses it? Guided by the main character's convenient aura, she would easily turn on me and sue me for assault. That would seal my fate forever as a throwaway villain crushed by the hero with absolutely no chance of recovery. So, what if I started it? Who told him to meddle in my business? Chin-Shi's face twisted with pure disdain. Thinking about that made me sigh with a bit of regret because honestly it was such a waste. Shaking off those thoughts, I slammed my foot on the gas and sped through the streets toward my estate. That trope where a spiked person must sleep with someone or die is pure fiction. Reality does not work like that. Sure, those cheap drugs make you feel absolutely terrible, but if you power through the effects, fade in a few hours. At worst, you just have to suffer through it. We arrived, I carried her inside, and trust me, you and I both know she never wanted to let go. Let's dive into this absolute madness. She was biting my neck, kissing me, and there was no escaping her. So I gritted my teeth, carried her to the bathroom, blasted the freezing cold water, and threw her right into the tub. As the ice-cold water drenched her head, Su-Yin's entire body shivered from the shock. Her mind cleared up just a little, though her memories were still a fragmented mess. Tengu flushed red with anger. "Then you deserved that beating." "Shut up. Have you not embarrassed yourself enough?" She only vaguely recalled some thug's pure danger and Uncle Chin saving her until a sudden terrifying memory flashed, waking her up in a panic. She looked around in panic, realizing she was in a massive, luxurious bedroom with a heavy European design. The high ceiling was detailed with real gold accents and beautiful painted frescoes. Everything here screamed wealth, but she had never seen this place before. Looking down, she noticed she was wrapped in a thick, comfy bathrobe. This definitely wasn't her home. With her heart racing, she quickly opened the robe to check herself. The next second, she froze. She wasn't wearing any underwear. Her knees went weak and she collapsed onto the floor. But wait. Something felt off. Even though her head was spinning, her body didn't feel sore or strange at all. There was no pain, nothing like what people online always described after a terrible night. Now, pay attention to this. She quickly tied the bathrobe tight and ran outside, completely lost in confusion. The massive mansion was brightly lit but dead silent. It wasn't until she walked downstairs that she finally spotted a familiar silhouette. I shot a freezing glare at Chin-Shi, keeping my voice as calm as possible. There I was, sitting cross-legged in a robe, casually playing on my phone. "Uncle Chin," she muttered. Hearing her voice, I looked up and said she was finally awake, making her heart skip a beat. "Why am I here? Putting my phone down." I asked if she remembered anything and gestured toward the sofa right next to me. She quietly obeyed, sat down beside me, gave a soft nod, and then immediately shook her head in confusion. She remembered a few scattered moments from earlier, but after that, her mind was just a thick, foggy blur. She couldn't piece it together, but she distinctly recalled desperately clinging on to some man's body. Her face flushed bright red at the thought. Did Uncle Chin and I actually do something together last night? She shook her head, terrified of letting her mind wander, while I could read her panic with just a single glance. You don't remember much, do you? Don't stress out. Let me explain exactly what happened last night. A guy named Wang Yu slipped something into your drink, remember? She nodded, so I kept going with the story. Even though I heard him admit he got thrashed for harassing a girl, my years of reading regression web novels made everything crystal clear to me. I know what you are thinking, but the drug worked too fast, making it impossible to take her straight home. You wouldn't have survived the ride. Plus, if your family or doctor found out, it would have sparked a massive scandal. So I had no choice but to bring you here. Hearing this, she tried forcing her brain to remember. It made sense. But what about my clothes I threw you in freezing water to counter the drug's effects? Your clothes ended up completely soaked, I said calmly while pouring us some tea. Since I didn't want you catching a cold, I had the housekeeper dry you off and put you in that robe. The housekeeper changed me, she asked, shocked. I just shrugged and said, Did you think I was the one who did it? Hearing that made her blush with embarrassment, vaguely recalling how aggressively she had hugged and kissed Chin last night. Right then, she couldn't even look at him. Of course, I picked up on her awkwardness immediately. I waved it off like it was nothing. It's late. Uncle Chin, would it be okay if I slept here tonight? You and I both know exactly how this plays out, so I turned to her with a gentle smile. Confirming that nothing bad had actually happened, she could finally let out a massive sigh of relief. Her tone softened. It doesn't bother me at all, I replied, unless you are worried about what people might say. Glancing at her from the side, I realized I could view her status. Her affection level had already reached 62. According to the system, once these heroines trust the villain, he gets complete access to all of their personal information. When a normal target's trust level reaches 90, they submit entirely. And if a heroine's affection goes past 90, he can completely ignore the protagonist's luck. Lei San Villa had plenty of spare rooms. I assigned her one, and mentioned her clothes were already washed and dried. The housekeeper will bring them up. All this thoughtful care made Su Yuran's heart flutter and beat incredibly fast. She slowly walked over to the bed and noticed that the sheets and blankets were completely brand new. They had just been changed for her. This was her first time experiencing such tender care from a mature man. While I digested everything, the driver in the front seat gently reminded me we had already arrived at the Shanghai hospital. My child, what is your name? My name is Tangu. Under my gaze, she grew quite nervous. And trust me, you and I can agree this handsome man is exceptionally thoughtful. Come along with me to explore one of the absolute wildest romance stories this year. She just could not stop thinking about him, his sharp jawline, his incredible build, and that warm, comforting scent. Every single detail played on repeat. Could this actually be what falling in love feels like? Su-yeon vigorously shook her head. How could she possibly like him? No way. I am barely 4 years older than his son, but he is just so handsome, sweet, and reliable. I would feel so incredibly safe with him. But he is from my father's generation. I cannot do this. It is over. Right then, the angel and devil on her shoulders started fighting. After a brief mental war sleep finally took over. Maybe it was the alcohol, or just the intense impression he left on her. The next morning, she woke up and noticed her robe was slightly damp. She grabbed it and ran. Watch closely here. Early that morning, the male lead spotted that robe outside and was completely left baffled. There are clearly maids in this house. What on earth is this girl actually planning? If you are looking for a story packed with twists and sweet revenge, stay with me. She immediately regretted speaking, terrified of his retaliation. She even gave me 200 villain points first thing in the morning. What did she do, confused? He shook his head and walked away. Meanwhile, in a private room at the Blue Shell Bar, Brother Hong was just wrapping up a game of pool. He stared hard at the screen and slapped himself, suddenly realizing that this girl was actually the young Miss Sue. He honestly wished he could send the idiot who caused this mess straight back to his mother's womb. This time, the fool offended both the Chin and Sue families at once. The bald boss was so anxious he kept rubbing his heavy gold chain. He had to apologize in person. And you and I can see this clearly back home. Miss Sue was replaying the rescue video on a loop. Watching his intense expression as he protected her, she suddenly smiled, revealing her cute dimples. So, this is what a powerful chief executive looks like when fighting. Without even realizing, her finger gently traced his cheek on the screen. Startled, she snapped out of it. Flushed, she threw the tablet onto the sofa. Su-yeon, are you losing your mind? Her bright red ears already exposed her feelings. I looked down for a moment, whispering her name to myself while rubbing my forehead. It did not sound bad at all. Mr. Chin, the police are here for you. Back at the Chin corporate headquarters, he had just ordered his men to shadow Lin Feng. He frowned slightly, telling them to let lawyer Deng handle it all, while casually spinning a pen between his fingers. This ridiculous little matter did not deserve a second of his time. The sheer power of money was on full display here. It is the classic trope for the exact same street fight the hero gets locked up while the villain walks away completely scot-free. After hanging up the phone, he carefully studied the miniature city model. To completely crush that lucky cockroach, he had to attack from all angles. He needed to claim territory, win over heroines, and grow stronger. What exactly are the limits of coercion? The pen spun rapidly between his fingers. As long as you avoid using physical force, any business tactic is fair game. The mechanical system voice gave a vague reply. Just as he plotted his next move, a chat notification popped up. Deng Yuying's profile picture flashed. Mr. Chin, could I buy you some coffee? She was the exact same woman seen with Tan Gu last night. Do not tremble. I know exactly how to measure my actions and everything that went down today. Seeing this, he grew uninterested. Though she is not one of the primary heroines, she would not be a bad wife. Meet at 2 at the Celebrity Cafe. His brief, cold reply instantly triggered complete chaos throughout the entire sales department. Deng Yuying was so incredibly excited her fingers were shaking. She immediately booked a table at the most expensive cafe around. Just as she was daydreaming about a life of pure luxury, an annoying ringtone completely shattered her beautiful fantasy. The screen displayed the name Wang Hao Yu. Her expression soured instantly. Are you seriously never going to leave me alone? She barked into the phone, totally different from her sweet tone earlier. A weak, begging voice answered from the other end. Yang, my mom was hospitalized a few days ago. We urgently need 30,000 yuan to pay for her surgery. I begged everyone, and only managed to get 10,000. Do you think you could lend me the remaining 20,000? What 20,000 do you think I am a bank? Before he could finish, Deng Yuying exploded, realizing her colleagues were staring. Blushing with embarrassment, she hurried to the end of the hallway. Wang Hao Yu, do you actually have no brain? You did not start this mess, so I will not blame you. Come on, old Li, let us go. With that, I crossed my arms and walked away. We have been together for a whole year. How much have you actually spent on me when we eat out? Do you ever pay? When we go to the movies, do you ever buy the tickets? And now you ask for 20,000 out of nowhere. I am sorry, Ying. I had nobody else to turn to. After all, we are still a couple. Can you not do this for our love? His voice trailed off, sounding completely out of breath. Hearing this, Deng Yuying let out a cold, mocking laugh, is holding hands a few times. What you call being together, Ying. What do you mean by that? He froze. And that is where we leave it today. What do I mean? You know exactly what. We are done. Hear me. Let us start with a story where greed completely ruins a relationship. Wang Hao stood speechless, asking if cash really mattered more than their love. Yes, money is absolutely crucial, and I am not lending it to you, so we are over. The more she spoke, the angrier she got about the whole situation. I broke my back selling houses to make this money. It is my sweat and tears, and you think you can just take it. Back in the hospital room, everyone was completely stunned into silence, and not a single soul dared to ask a thing. You barely make 1,000 yuan a month writing web novels. How on earth do you expect to pay me back? But my mother really cannot hold on. I do not care about your excuses. Dong Yuying sighed deeply, lowering her voice. Wang Hao, we have no future. I refuse to spend my life squeezed into subways eating canned food and living in a miserable old apartment with no balcony. That is simply not the life I want. A heavy silence stretched over the phone line. Finally, Wang Hao spoke softly. Yu Ying, are you really sure you want to end this? To be honest, she had wanted to dump him for ages. She just feared hurting his fragile male pride. Now, pay close attention here. While she was plotting her cold escape, Wang Hao was too buried in his writing to notice her slowly drifting away. Yu Ying closed her eyes and delivered the final blow. It is over. Hanging up, she let out a massive sigh of relief. A smile instantly spread across her face. This is much better. I need to meet Mr. Chin at the cafe this afternoon. Just thinking about him made her mood brighten immediately. Behind my back, Keen Shi gritted his teeth in sheer rage, cursing his father under his breath for being a spineless coward. Meanwhile, right outside the central hospital, a young man sat completely broken on the steps of the building. Gripping his phone with all his strength, a single painful thought consumed him. It is all over. His sick mother needed cash urgently. He begged his family, but apart from one friend who gave him 10,000 yuan, they all ignored him. He knew he could not count on his relatives, but he never expected his own girlfriend to be this heartless. You have the money, but you refuse to help save my mother. Why? He whispered with sheer anger. His voice shook. Dong Yuying, just wait. The day I succeed, you will bitterly regret what you did to me today. Suddenly, an intense weight pressed on his brain. Before he could even react, everything went pitch black and he collapsed. After who knows how long, Wang Hao slowly opened his eyes, only to find himself lying on a hospital gurney. He was totally dazed. Shaking his head, he felt something bizarre. It was as if a massive library had suddenly manifested inside his brain. The shelves were packed with mind-blowing novels. What on earth is this? Wang Hao wondered in utter confusion. As for young Miss Tang, who was shaking with fear earlier, he pulled out a random book and opened the first page. This is a world where Du Qi reigns supreme. There is no magic, only Du Qi cultivated to the absolute limit. Captivated by just these words, he kept reading greedily. 30 years east, 30 years west, never look down on a poor youth. The concept was fresh and deeply addictive. The further he read, the more hyped he became. He was completely hooked. Now, this is how a great story should be. Plus, the main character's struggles feel exactly like my own life. Meanwhile, his loyal buddy, Chien Shikai, had managed to scrape together 10,000 yuan and was rushing over to deliver it. Passing by the upscale Mingxi Cafe, he spotted Yu Ying. Trust me, we both know this is about to get incredibly messy. He immediately called his best friend. Wang Hao. I just saw Yu Ying walk straight into that fancy Mingxi Cafe. A single cup of coffee there costs hundreds of yuan. With her meager salary, she could never afford that place. Where did she get that extra cash? Wang Hao pieced it together instantly. But then he remembered they had literally just broken up. She froze upon hearing my words. The ruthless tyrant everyone feared actually had a father who was surprisingly reasonable. Fatty Chen completely froze upon hearing the shocking news. He blurted out in shock, "A breakup is serious. You should have talked face to face. Ending things over the phone. What kind of nonsense is that?" Besides, looking at this setup, I bet she was already seeing someone else before dumping you. Are you really going to let her humiliate you like this? What am I supposed to do? Wang Hao snapped back. Of course it hurt him. After all, Yu Ying was once the girl he loved with every fiber of his being. If moving on was that easy, he would not be daydreaming about getting rich just to make her regret leaving him. Look, if she is actually with another guy, you do not need to play the polite gentleman with her anymore. Go confront her. Even if it gets ugly, you must find out the truth. Wang Hao hesitated for a moment. Showing up to demand answers felt degrading, like losing his dignity. But remembering her heartless betrayal, he ground his teeth in fury. He forced a bitter smile. Just wait, I am coming right now. Could he be faking all this just to settle the score with her later? Meanwhile, he arrived at the cafe with Liejun and bodyguards. And trust me, you are going to want to see what happens next. Let's dive into this drama. Hello, Director Qin over here. You look amazing today. She smiled as he sat down. Dong Yuing was absolutely glowing, unable to hide her joy. She was thrilled to see her hours of makeup prep finally paying off. You certainly know how to flatter people. Thanks, Siokin. But he completely ignored the compliment and got straight to the point. I do not like beating around the bush. Just say what is on your mind. After all, we only met yesterday. We are barely acquaintances at all, and I definitely do not consider you a friend. You called me here for business or to get close to me. Looking at your current situation, it is obvious this is not about work, so it is clearly the second one. And just like that, Dong Yuing took a massive direct hit to her pride. Watch her reaction closely here. Her face flushed red as she sputtered, though she claims she was ready for anything he said. Seeing his coldness, Dong Yuing finally gathered her courage to reveal her true motive. Siokin, could you give me a chance?